If you want more content from We Studios, check us out at weepodcast.com. That's WEE podcast.com, where you can find other episodes of 90s Percentile, our Simpsons podcast, Worst Episode Ever, and our commentary series, Sync Points.
And if you want to help support We Studios and everything we're doing, you can click our links and shop on Amazon. But Jack, we've made it even easier. All you got to do is
press
go
the
to
We Podcast dash button.
That's right, next to your paper towels. Or you can just go to amazon.wepodcast.com. Go there instead of going to amazon.com, and that will help us out, and anything you shop will help support the show.
I don't know. I like the idea of pushing a dash button and a podcast arriving 2 days later.
All right, we're going to work on that and get that out to you.
Thanks, guys.
60 minutes are on the clock, and straight out of We Studios, this is 90s Percentile. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack, and we're talking everything 90s and maybe also everything before and after.
And we have a guest here in studio today. Her name is Heather Gaw. Say hi, Heather.
Hello, Heather.
Hey, Heather. I was doing dishes about 5 minutes ago.
It's true, you were.
90% of my life is doing dishes, 10% is podcasting.
90s Percentile.
Or
Yeah,
90%
classy gloves on.
90% podcasting, 10% dishes. I don't know. Anyway, you guys came in.
You basically wash your dishes while we
Yeah.
record podcasts. So if you hear a gentle clanging, that's what that is.
Splash,
I
crash.
multitask.
Yeah, you got to get things done.
Two birds, one palm olive. I guess that means I use the palm olive in the podcasting somehow. It greases the podcast wheel.
It sure does.
Was Podcast Wheel this podcast, or was Podcast Wheel the other podcast?
I don't even remember
It was
Podcast
Podcast
Wheel.
Wheel Harry's podcast. I think it was.
I have no idea, Jack.
Anyway, let's start over. We can't. 59 minutes, 4 seconds left.
Yeah.
So I was doing dishes.
By the way, people like this podcast. I'm
did.
always surprised. They
They
did.
did.
You're right. They did.
This isn't dish talk.
Hey, everybody, this is Dish Talk with Dan and Jack.
Which
Get
you
your
can
palm
watch on-
olive out.
which is on Dish Network, which
of
is you
course.
can only get from Dish TV.
That's right. So sign up for Dish.
No, my point is I was doing dishes, and Heather showed up for the recording, showed up at the front door of We Studios. A few minutes later, you showed up, Dan. I was still in the kitchen, water was running, but I heard there was something happened outside between you two.
We had a bit of a classic mix-em-up outside.
I do always like walking into people that I know, but I can't say hi to them. So I just acknowledge them and then continue walking because that's less
So
weird.
you saw Dan and you wanted to say hello, but you couldn't?
No, I
Well-
did say hello, but knew he was on
She
the phone.
did, but I was wearing my headphones and I was on the phone. I was talking to my
Okay.
mom.
And
So,
So
I was
you-
like, I know you. I'm going inside.
Right, so she was like, "You're Jack's friend," and I was like, "I'm on the phone, and it's odd because now I'm talking to two people, but you only know when I'm talking to one person."
I should have
It was
checked
a whole
before
thing.
we recorded to make sure that was an interesting story or not.
I thought it was fascinating.
I actually think it is the most interesting thing that happened to me today,
you
which
missed
is
the
more about my
interpretive dance
life.
portion of the entire.
Oh,
yeah.
man. I was
There
doing
was,
dishes.
there was a whole kabuki thing. You missed it.
I was microwaving my sponge. 60 seconds to kill the germs.
60 seconds are on the clock, and straight out of that sponge, it's microbes.
If you're not microwaving your sponge before you do the dishes, you might as well be bathing them in germs,
filth.
in Zika.
in pocket garbage.
So, Heather, besides being a fan of the podcast, maybe the last one, you actually, this might be a first. We love our qualifiers. You're probably the first guest we've ever had who's had a topic previously suggested on a previous episode.
Oh.
So, Heather,
That
you...
neither of you.
Yeah,
knew.
that's what I was going to bring up. You brought up hackers.
I knew it was going to be hackers.
And a
okay.
few weeks ago, we had hackers, and me, Dan, and our guest Christine. None of us had ever seen the
No.
movie.
You're both terrible human
we
beings.
we were very, very accurate in the plot that we guessed from the title.
Right.
Not at all.
Driving to the desert.
Driving to the desert. Johnny Lee Miller is
Yeah.
playing "I Love My Computer."
Oh, yeah.
So you're saying that's not what happened?
Not at all. No.
All
no.
right. Our topic today, hackers. What happened in the hack?
So, on behalf of Dan and myself, we'd like to apologize, and to any other hackers.
Have you watched it since?
No.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure we made a pact to actually watch
Oh,
it, and
did we?
I certainly haven't.
I
Maybe
don't-
we didn't.
This is like, if I say anything on the podcast, any promises, it's
Yeah.
the audio equivalent of crossing my fingers.
Right. They're
It
all
just-
complete lies. Anything I've ever said on this podcast is a lie.
Which is
except
weird because
this.
we did that last year. We did the 3 years ago. We did your wedding live on air.
Yeah.
So is that all
All of that was a lie. So, ladies. She's not listening. It's fine. She doesn't know what goes on in podcast
nor the
time.
other ladies. So,
No, you're right. It's all Josh Kerp listening to see if we mentioned him from last week, and we just
and we
did.
just did. Thanks,
so thanks
Josh.
for being
Thanks
on
for
the
being
show,
on,
Josh.
Okay, Heather. So, did you bring another topic, or did you want to take your chances with the wheel? I know
guest,
you were torn.
As guest, you know that it is your right to choose our first topic, or you could go to the wheel of death, the podcast wheel.
I'm really not crazy about the name Wheel of Death.
I like to think that it puts our guests on edge a little bit.
I kind of like
Don't
Wheel
be
of
too
Death.
comfortable.
As much as I want to try the Wheel of Death, my fear of video games popping up would be bad.
Okay.
I do have a very good topic.
Okay.
I'm
all
excited.
right, let's
By the
hear
way,
it. Our
before
first
we
topic.
hear it, before we
And
hear
if
it,
you don't know any of this, there's a broad topic.
Okay.
Both of you are dead to me.
All right.
well,
putting it out.
speaking
Interesting.
of death, I just want to
I'm
clarify.
excited.
We have what now? 400 or 500 topics in there for that
There's at least 400
So
topics
I think
in
I
there.
put
So
25.
our listeners have submitted. Thank you, guys. What we did is just one of them says death, and if we pull that one, we will perform some
commit
seppuku
on this podcast.
on air. But
Talk
if-
about a wheel of death.
But we have our
We'll
fingers
make sure
crossed.
the mics
Oh,
are
yeah,
really
of
good
course.
to catch all of the splashing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So hopefully that one won't come up. But
I
Heather,
hope not.
What is today's topic?
Today's topic is Kevin Smith movies.
Oh, hell yeah. I think we are fairly well versed in Kevin Smith
Thank
movies.
you. God.
Well, yeah. Actually, Dan got me into Kevin Smith.
Yes, if I remember correctly, we watched Clerks at a sleepover we had.
Yeah, it was just me and
we
you.
were
watched
cool
the first time
dudes.
the same way.
At a sleepover, me and Dan.
Yeah. Were you hiding in the closet?
Damn it, they found out.
Oh, man. All
All
these
these
years
years.
later. Now you know I didn't say hi to you on the street before we started
that
recording.
girl
You
that
were
was
that
in the
girl in the
closet.
closet.
Mommy, there's someone in the closet. Shut up. Keep watching your Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah, no, that's so funny because I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, but I was just thinking about this today, it was today or yesterday. I
Yeah.
was thinking about the series of short films that I wrote in high school. It was like my first batch of screenplays that I'd ever written, and I created my own type of universe where there was like characters that would carry over from each one.
Like Kevin Smith's View Askew universe.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I was just, and I realized I wrote the very first screenplay I wrote was based on our high school sketch comedy group.
Yes.
And then the second or third I wrote after that was the first screen. Like basically, I wrote a screenplay, and then you introduced me to Clerks, and then I think I did Mallrats Dogma all in the same week.
Right.
And then Kevin Smith heavily influenced the way I wrote screenplays for like the next 2-3 years. You know, basically because he writes like a 16-year-old boy. So all of my scripts were really like the dialogue, the characters. It was basically I was Jack Smith basically. So I was just thinking about that today. I was like, oh yeah, I remember I wrote characters for me and you.
Yeah,
to
you did.
interlock in them.
Yeah,
Dude, we're in my car.
Dude, we're in my car. Your first
It's a 16-minute
smash hit.
film about me and Dan stuck in a minivan in a parking lot in the middle of the summer.
It's pretty great.
Is it filmed in black and white or in color?
Oh, we never
it was
filmed
never
that.
filmed.
No.
Well, in your head, is it black and white or in color?
No, it was in color.
So it's Mallrats, not Clerks. Okay.
Yeah, it was more
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Mallrats than Clerks. All right, so let's mention these movies.
Well, first, I want to mention how I first came to be a Kevin Smith fan. I would say I'm not really a fan nowadays, but
Right.
was very much a fan when I was a teenager, for
teenage
sure.
boy, yeah.
But the way that I first that Kevin Smith first came into my
Heather
life
was in your closet.
Heather was in the
she
closet.
kept whispering, "Watch Kevin Smith."
He's very funny.
By the way, we did not mention that Heather is Gollum.
Oh, we didn't mention that.
No, we didn't.
I went off on that tangent about the.
So I'm glad
when
we
you guys
got it
bumped
out now.
The reason Dan was on his phone and you saw he had taken the ring.
Yeah. Taking the ring when I answered the phone. Telephone ring.
Sure.
No? Okay. Anyway, the way that I first met Kevin Smith, not in person, but met his
I
work.
have. He's lovely.
Have you
Ooh, we'll
really?
get
Okay,
into
we'll
that.
talk about that in a second. It was. I saw the trailer for Clerks. My brother and I saw it when we rented a movie from Blockbuster Video. Do you guys want to take a guess at what movie we rented from Blockbuster Video that had the Clerks trailer before it?
RoboCop 3.
Nope. Fuck. Heather, you get a guess.
Clerks.
Satisfied moan is not the answer.
It wasn't.
Oh no, I can't really think. It's not going to be anything big. It's going to have to be a weirdo one. It's going to be
It's
like
definitely a
Corey
weirdo
movie.
one.
It's got to be like a Corey movie.
It's not License to Drive, starring both Corys.
the original Wicker Man.
Nope. That's a great horror movie, psychological thriller from the 70s. Why would it have the
not
Clerks
have-
trailer before?
I can't wait for the 70s psychological thriller. If you like Clerks.
You will love this creepy old man.
It's Pat the movie, which we rented from Blockbuster, and the only good thing that came out of it was seeing the trailer for
Oh,
Clerks.
it's Pat's a great movie.
No, it's not a great movie.
I've never seen it.
Charles Rocket is very odd in that movie.
Oh, I like Charles Rocket.
Yeah. He becomes obsessed
What
with
did
Pat.
Oh, Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much all the only two
was
movies
it, yeah.
he did besides being in SNL. But anyway, so I saw the trailer, and it was funny. My brother then rented Clerks, and my brother is 5 years
Based
older
on the
than I am.
trailer.
Yeah, we were like, what is this movie? We got to watch this. And he rented it and watched it. It was rated R.
How old are you?
I was probably 11 or 12 at this point. This was early on.
You're a little young for the blowjob jokes. And
So
such.
that's what I was gonna say. My brother wouldn't let me watch the whole movie. Like he was like, "You can watch it, but I'm gonna edit out certain scenes."
So he'd watched it first by
He
himself.
watched it alone. Yeah, he was like, I guess, 16 at the time.
Okay.
And yeah,
the age where you're allowed to watch a movie by
of
yourself.
course, absolutely. And we would play the scenes in like the whole scene about
Death Star and
like that stuff I saw, but
Yeah.
about like hand jobs and stuff.
yeah,
that stuff was edited out for me. So it was an interesting way to meet
what do
Kevin
you mean?
Smith.
He would pause it and fast forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, not earmuffs and cover your eyes.
No.
Oh no, I was
He,
wondering if he
physically
put it into an
fast-forwarded it.
editing deck and
did, yeah,
made the Dan cut.
He made the machete cut of Clerks.
He put episode 1. He got rid of episode 1. He put
yeah.
episode 2 first.
He spliced in the cartoon, the animated series, 4 years before it existed. But anyway, that's how I first came to watch Clerks. Heather, how did you come to meet Kevin Smith?
So when I was college shopping, as you would put it, I went down to Tulane, where I actually ended up going to law school. And they have a
Name drop.
Yeah, man.
Well, they have a really big film society there.
Right.
Crazy enough to show a porn every year. So it's very ridiculous. But they brought filmmakers
I went to the wrong
in.
law school.
Yeah.
I went
You
to
can
the
watch
right
porn
one.
with 200 of your closest friends.
Oh, yeah.
But
In porn school, they make you watch Legally Blonde. They make you watch The Client.
You have to watch the verdict.
But they bring in various filmmakers and for different screenings, and they brought in Kevin Smith right before, I want to say his cartoon series was coming out.
Oh, wow.
Just
Okay.
then.
Wait, Clerks the animated series?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
No.
it was
This
in
would've been-
2000.
You would have been.
That was 2000. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You were already in law school then?
No, this
Oh.
was college shopping.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I was
I
gonna say,
ended up
yeah.
not going there until 5 years
I see,
later.
but then you ended up going for law
gotcha.
school. Got it.
But,
We're all in sync now.
So I met him at a meet and greet afterwards, and he did lots of fun Q&A before.
Of course.
Absolutely hilarious, man. He's still my first celebrity husband by choice.
Not his choice.
Yes, that's true.
But
he
the
is so happily married.
the
It makes
rule
me
is,
sad.
if you can wrestle him to the ground, you marry him. That's how it works. That's how Kevin Smith rules work.
I think I could beat him now. He's lost a lot of weight.
All right.
I think I could win.
Challenge. The gauntlet's been thrown down, Kevin Smith.
I'm not surprised you met him at meet and greet. You could say a lot of things about Kevin Smith, but he's very loyal to the fans that are loyal to
He
him.
absolutely is, yeah. And it's interesting. We'll talk about his movies in a second, since that is our topic. But I think that his now role as like a godfather of podcasts
Oh, yeah?
is probably a lot better suited to who he is.
That makes sense because I used to watch his DVD commentaries, and I remember
Yeah.
they were video DVD commentaries, and they were pretty much like proto-podcasts.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he can just talk at length about random topics, which, very few people can do that. We can't do it,
No,
for
we can't
example.
do it. We just go off into weird dishwashing tangents.
By the way, you done with those dishes? 'Cause I
Kevin,
need a dish.
Kevin Smith has probably clocked 100,000 hours of podcasting and commentary. I don't think once he ever talked about doing the dishes.
That we know of. But
That we know of.
we're going to dig through
Clerks
his archives.
4, doing the
Doing
dishes.
those dishes. He skipped Clerks 3.
There's no Clerks 3? Or
Well,
he's making it, right?
Supposedly he is writing Clerks 3.
Yeah,
but
I heard it.
No,
I
I
heard
thought it was Mallrats 2. was
that
the next
also.
one.
So
Did
he's
that fall apart?
he's one of those guys who always says he's going to do a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino's the same way.
Yeah,
Like where there's a lot of
Soderbergh.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he said, "Oh, I'm going to do an animated Clerks movie. I'm going to do Mallrats Die Hard at a Mall, Mallrats 2."
Yeah.
I think he was going to do not a Chasing Amy follow-up, but something else, I think, with Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh,
I don't
they
know.
could never do a Chasing Amy follow-up. No.
That would be
no, no,
interesting, a
Chasing
follow-up to Chasing Amy.
What would it be? about?
Wrestling Amy to the ground, so you have to marry her. Ben Affleck finally gets her.
I'm
Jason Lee
Batman,
watches.
Love me. Love me.
I mean,
Do you bleed?
it's Ben Affleck
Chasing Batman.
chasing Batman. No, chasing Superman.
Chasing Super. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's an interesting
Oh,
movie.
that's right. Whoops.
Superman's like, I am gay.
And then Flash comes in in the middle of the movie for no reason. He's like, all right, you've got Wonder Woman, Batman, and a lesbian who wants to have sex with straight men. Which one do you shoot? Whatever the fucking thing was.
None of them, they don't exist.
Yeah,
especially not the
exactly.
Flash.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Actually, I saw a bunch of kids. I was walking from the grocery store yesterday, and there were a bunch of kids playing superheroes out in the street. And I was like, "Oh, that's cute." And this one kid, he was obviously the leader of the group. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm Flash. Now you have 30 seconds to stop me before I come and kill you." And then he
Okay.
just starts going like this. And starts like walking in super slow motion towards. And I was like,
That's the exact opposite of the Flash.
I was trying to figure out like what the inner logic here was. I was like,
Yeah.
I let it go. I
Okay.
can't relate anymore.
I kind of like
old.
the fact that I
We're out
saw
of touch.
two little kids at the Batman Superman movie, and they were fighting over who would win. And the one said, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna win." Batman goes boom, 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 and he was so serious. And the little other kid, "Yeah, right, okay."
But he didn't go boom, boom, boom. He went, "Do you bleed?" That's not a movie for kids. I liked when Holly Hunter gave a speech at Congress.
They have to learn
I still haven't
history.
seen this fucking movie.
Holly Hunter gives a speech at
I
Congress.
figured,
Have I?
and I know all about the Flash thing. But anyway, let's talk about Kevin Smith.
Wait, so how did you get into Kevin Smith? Was it through this
My
movie
brother
night?
got me into Kevin Smith.
Oh.
Actually.
Damn brothers.
My brother did shit.
I mean, my brother is 8 years older, and I think he rented it or somehow because it was a Blockbuster video at my house. And
Kids,
yeah,
Blockbuster Video.
yeah,
Talk about a '90s topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a physical
Please
place you
be
would go
kind,
and get
rewind.
tips.
Yeah,
It was a Netflix of places.
we watched that, and then I didn't like it the first time I watched it. Actually,
Yeah, okay, interesting.
It was over my head, although it wasn't edited. I did watch the whole thing,
Right.
But the second time I watched it, this is amazing.
It all fell into place.
You know, I think at that sleepover you had me watch Dogma first, or I
Maybe.
wanted to watch Dogma.
Uh-huh.
And then you were like, and I loved it. I was like, Dogma was like my favorite movie for a good 2 years.
Yeah.
And then you were like, if you like that, check out Clerks. I think we watched them
That
back
sounds
to back
about
on the
right.
same night, but I think Dogma came first.
The only other thing I remember about that night is watching the SNL rerun at 3 a.m.
Oh, with Michael Keaton?
with Michael. It was so
Your
they
memory
played.
is vivid.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember because
Well-
the next day your brother took us mini golfing, and to explain the sketch.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when SNL was on, or at least back in the day, SNL, the new episode would be on at 11:30, and then at 3 a.m. they would play an uncut version of an much older episode. So at this time, this was probably like 2000
Yeah.
or 2001. We were watching.
Holy shit! So this Michael Keaton rerun,
It was from '93 probably.
Which that was 7 years before we had watched it. Now 7
And now
years
it's
before now,
23
was like
years.
2009. Like
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig was on. And,
Yeah, no, time is a flat circle, and it's
my
horrible.
goodness,
We're getting
we're
old.
old.
But it was this old skit from the early '90s where Michael Keaton was the guest host, and Chris Farley was a baseball umpire.
Yeah.
They kept cutting to him.
It was like some half-hour public access type show sketch about where
Right.
they would out gay people.
Yes, right.
And Michael Keaton, I think, was gay, and he
I
was
think
like
you're
doing
right.
gay lisp, and he would be like, and this guy, gay, and then it would just cut to Chris Farley as an umpire going, "You're out of there,
Yeah.
you're out."
We loved this skit at the time.
And
Maybe
so
it
the
doesn't
next morning,
translate so well.
next morning, your brother is very nice enough to take us mini golfing.
Yeah.
And every hole, like all 18 holes, every one we would go, "You're out of there."
Good times. We were terrible
All right,
teenagers.
we talk about 90s SNL sketches all
Yeah.
the time. I
Yeah.
actually saw one today that I don't remember. I never heard of. It was Phil Hartman doing a show called Sassy Boys for Sassy Boys or something. And
This sounds amazing
and
already.
It's David Spade as Christian Slater.
Okay.
Adam Sandler as quote unquote Marky Mark. He wasn't even known as Mark Wahlberg
Right.
yet. And
He's still Marky Mark.
And somebody else, the host, whoever was hosting, Luke Perry
Okay.
as Rick Schroeder.
Okay.
And they would all say something like Adam Sandler was playing Mark Wahlberg as like this big broy guy, which in the early '90s. I
Right.
mean now today too, but
Good
that,
vibrations
but basically
era
it was like,
Marky Mark.
yeah, well, you know how it goes, bro. And then Phil Hartman would just turn to the camera and go, "So sassy," and that was the entire
That's the
sketch.
whole skit.
And I was like, I've never seen this sketch in my life. I can't
Wow.
believe it.
Somehow that was not on
That's
the
like
best
the
of Phil Hartman
one
DVD.
90s SNL sketch I've never seen.
Yeah. All right.
So your brother introduced you to Clerks.
He did.
All right.
he
When did we all see Mallrats? That was the second movie.
I saw that in the theaters.
Okay.
I saw Mallrats. When did I see Mallrats? I think I bought it on VHS
I
from
still
Sam
have
Goody.
it on VHS.
I think I might too. And that was a movie. I think it's the only movie I ever actually have finished watching it and then started it over from the beginning and watched
There
it
was
again.
something
in full.
about that movie. After the Clerks Dogma, You're Out of There
Yeah.
day, you gave me, I think, the DVD.
Okay,
and
that was the first DVD I ever bought. Was Mallrats.
Mine was Fight Club. What was yours, Heather?
DVD. Oh God, I don't even know. I honestly can't tell you. There's
All
too
right.
many.
Okay. Anyway, I took it home with me, and I probably watched it a dozen times that first week. I just watched it over and over and over.
There's
I was
something
obsessed
about
with Mallrats.
where it's just very much, it appeals to that teenager mentality. And I mean, you and I, we did hang out
We
at the
were
mall.
literally
like,
Mallrats,
we recognized this culture.
Yeah.
But it was also a lot more because they were very smart, dumbass teenagers.
I guess.
Well, I don't
know.
even think they were teenagers.
Well,
But
Yeah.
they had that fun humor of like a young, dirty teenagers, but it was
Right.
very, very smart.
Let's unpack that for a second. Do you think Mallrats is a smart movie?
I would say,
Because I would say Clerks kind of is.
I think Clerks is definitely his more like theater movie.
Right.
But Mallrats has more, over the top, let's make everybody laugh out loud funny jokes.
Right. And just really quick, in case you have no idea who Kevin Smith is or what these movies that we're talking about are, Kevin Smith had, I think only 3 movies came out in the 90s. Well, we can throw Dogma in. I think it was
Dogma
2000.
might have been 2000, yeah.
It was either 99 or 2000.
Could have been 99.
But basically, his first movie was Clerks, which was a black and white film from 1994. It's just about these 2 convenience store clerks. One works at a convenience store, one works at a
Dogma
video
was
store.
99.
Okay, so we'll talk about Dogma. And it's just, a day in their life. They just sit around, they talk about Star Wars, they play hockey on the roof. It's a very, very small budget movie. Mallrats was his first major studio movie, which is just about like what happens at a mall on a day. He likes these day in the life type things, it seems. And then Chasing Amy, I think Mallrats was a big failure in the box
Which
office.
is a damn shame.
Well, I
So
think
good.
it definitely found an audience on home video for
yeah.
sure, because it's very popular, or at least it was. I don't know if it's very popular with kids
I want to
now.
get. I want to get into.
All
that.
right, we'll talk about that. But then Chasing Amy was his kind of art house follow-up. It was this tortured movie where Ben Affleck is trying to date this woman who's a
It was
lesbian.
also at the height of like Sundance and indie films.
Miramax was at its peak. Let's say that.
So he actually somehow became the poster child for indie movies.
Right.
Well, I think Clerks was made for how much money? It was something like $500 on his credit card.
Yeah,
It
he
was
put it all
crazy,
on his
like-
cards. He sold
Maxed
his
out all his
comic
cards.
books.
Yeah. I think it was
which-
50 grand. Is how much
I
it
hear
was.
that
Okay.
story
Not
every
as
now and
ridiculous
then.
as 50.
I hear stories about filmmakers doing that, and like the thought of putting and filmmaking so much cheaper now than it was back then.
yeah. We don't need any film.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just the thought of like maxing out my credit cards to make a movie. I was just like, no,
it's not worth it.
I mean, maybe when you live in Jersey, it's a little easier, but it's like, no,
Right.
if I do that, I will be on the street starving to death.
Yeah,
I will have a trash can lid with a fish skeleton in it. And, like,
You need to wash a lot of dishes then, Jack.
and maybe I don't have the passion, but no, that's not an option.
And real quick, just to round out the quartet, Dogma was another movie that he made that was sort of a bigger budget. It was one of like the first Lionsgate movies, I think, actually.
I'm sure once Matt Damon had signed on,
Right, Matt
it got
Damon-
a bigger budget.
Matt Damon and Ben
Yeah.
Affleck were both pretty big at the time,
I mean, the
and they're
fact
both
that
in
they
it.
got Alan Rickman in it, I mean, it was
Oh
so
yeah,
good.
perfect,
There's the
perfect,
movie.
perfect. But
Ben
It's
Affleck is in
respectable.
Mallrats way before Good Will Hunting, and he was famous.
right, Mallrats.
So he became good friends with Kevin Smith. So then once Good Will Hunting happened and Ben Affleck became a huge star,
Yeah.
and Matt Damon, who has like a cameo in Chasing Amy, but I think that was through Affleck.
Yes.
That was like a huge get for Smith, so to have Ben Affleck in his pocket. And then I think Matt Damon replaced Jason Lee, right, for Dogma?
Yeah, I think he did, and then it turned out that Jason Lee could join the movie, so he took a smaller role.
So getting Matt Damon and Ben Affleck was basically because he's friends with Ben Affleck, but
Right.
it was fortuitous timing because that was right at their
it
height.
was, yeah,
both
I think
of them.
97 was Good Will Hunting, so they were both
Yeah.
huge.
Dogma wasn't famous in mainstream audiences for being a Kevin Smith movie or for being this anti-religious movie. It was famous for being a Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie.
Right, because the whole premise of the movie is they're 2 fallen angels who are kind of on this trip to prove God wrong so they can get back into heaven, and there's other people trying to stop them because it would mean the end of the world. It's a lighthearted movie
with Alanis
with Alanis
playing
Morissette as God. Boop. That's her only line.
It never ends.
So we've all seen all 4 of these movies, right?
Yes.
We're all like.
Although
you can
I've
tell
never
from talking,
seen Clerks since that night 16 years ago.
No, you're full of shit.
Never seen. Maybe I've watched 10, 15 minutes of it since then.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never sat down and watched it.
Wow, I've seen Clerks a million times. I've seen Mallrats 1,001,001 times.
No, I know. I saw
And Dogma.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no. I saw it the one
Okay,
time.
well, we're gonna put it on start to finish right now. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I just want to put my cards.
from Clerks.
I just want to put my cards on the table. I don't like those movies anymore.
That was
Like
gonna be my next
Mallrats,
question.
I loved Mallrats. Granted, I haven't seen it in 10, 15 years, but something happened. I rewatched it in my mid-20s, and I was just like, this isn't doing it for me anymore.
So
See, I like it more. No, not more. I like it still for different reasons. Mm-hmm. I like it now because I see the funnier things that I didn't see before.
Oh, I'm sure there's jokes I didn't get. Yeah.
And the fact that you can make fun of Ben Affleck more now for having been in Mallrats. And
Do you bleed?
she was only 16. Did she please?
Oh no!
Can we cut that?
Nope. I want to fuck you in an uncomfortable place.
Boy. What, like the back of a Volkswagen? That was Superman talking.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Like, Mallrats, I feel like I've burnt myself out on Mallrats. If I never saw that movie again, that'd be fine, because I can probably still quote it from beginning to end.
That could be part of it, the fact that I watched it so much. But
Yeah,
like
I've
I
seen
said,
that
I
movie
saw
way too
Clerks
many
once.
times.
I saw Dogma dozens of times. I saw Chasing Amy a few times. Chasing Amy I never really liked.
Interesting.
I think Chasing Amy was his, and as I hate to call it a chick movie, but all of my girlfriends love that movie.
I'm a fan of Chasing Amy. I would say it's his more serious romantic comedy type movie. It's probably his serious movie to
It bored the hell
date.
out of me, though. And I like serious movies. It
Yeah.
just bored me.
I feel like you need to give Clerks another chance,
I
though.
You
know,
should give
I
Clerks
The
know.
another
last time
chance.
you watched it was
I know.
8
And
then
billion
watch
years
Clerks
ago.
2.
I've never seen Clerks 2 ever.
It will look
I
much
love
better in
Clerks
comparison.
animated series. At least I did when it aired, and then I rewatched it. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like this. It's not gonna hold up. And I watched the first 2 episodes on YouTube, and it held up.
It holds up. I like
it's
Clerks
such
the animated
a
series.
fast-paced, like solid animated series.
Right. A big part of that, I mean, it's different because it's animation and
completely
it's a
different from
22-minute
Clerks,
show,
yeah.
but also I think David Mandel worked on that also, and he was on Seinfeld.
The fourth for the back 9 on Seinfeld.
Absolutely, that's right. Very good. Rolf Jerry, Frisbee Golf. This is,
The
our,
deal with airline peanuts.
this is our Seinfeld quote podcast within 90s Percentile. So I'm curious, what do you guys think of Kevin Smith now? Like, have you watched any of his more recent movies? Like Tusk or Red State?
I recently saw Red State, and it blew my mind, and it was not what I would ever call a Kevin Smith quote.
I heard it was good.
Definitely not. Did you like Red
I
State?
loved it.
I absolutely hated Red State.
Messed with my head.
It's a horror
It's-
movie, right?
Granted,
Sort
I was
of.
home for a month without being able to walk, so I was really getting desperate for Netflix movies.
Right,
but
right.
I loved it.
I'm
It's,
crippled. Give me Kevin Smith.
I'm so old.
Hey?
That's right. So old. I watched Red State and I was not a big fan. I maybe need to rewatch it. I knew it was going to be a departure from him, but it was just like a movie that didn't know what it wanted to do. I don't know. I wasn't a fan.
I'm looking at his filmography. I saw Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. At the time, I thought it was the greatest movie ever made because it was supposed to be the combination of the previous 4, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing
Right.
Amy, Dogma. And
It was the Avengers of the U.S.
It
universe.
was the first kind of Avengers, and it
Yeah.
had pre-Anchorman Will Ferrell, who was great in it.
Yeah, he's probably the best part. I don't
Yeah,
know that the
he
whole
still
movie
is,
holds
yeah.
up, but
I don't know. I haven't
does.
seen it
there are
since.
parts of it, yeah.
So I
Parts
didn't
that
see
are great.
Jersey Girl. I didn't see Clerks 2.
Jersey Girl's the only Kevin Smith movie I have not seen.
He-
Actually,
he-
Tusk.
he
I haven't seen
intro-
Tusk.
He created Bennifer.
I
Yes.
liked Jersey Girl in parts. It was really not over the top for me, but I mean, you had oh god, why am I Carlin? You
George
had
Carlin,
George
yeah.
Carlin in
Yeah.
it, and how do you not?
Yeah,
like
and he's in
George
Dogma
Carlin?
as well.
Clerks 2, I didn't see. Zack and Miri Make a Porno, I did see. I thought it was terrible.
I saw it
Agreed.
once. I thought it was extremely forgettable, and I don't remember anything about it.
exactly. And then Cop Out, I saw in the theater because I'm
Cop
a
Out
bit
was
huge.
not good.
I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan, and
Yeah.
that movie is an ode to
That was
buddy
Co-
cop movies,
Bruce
which
Willis and
Tracy Morgan, yeah.
I
Yeah.
never saw that.
I love buddy cop movies. I love them all. It's one of my favorite genres, and so does Kevin Smith. And this was
Yeah.
like his love letter to them, and
Right.
it was bad.
Well, he has distanced himself from Cop Out because that was, I think,
He
the only
blames
like
the
big studio movie he made.
It's not the studio's
He
fault.
also
No, I don't
he
know
also
about
says
that.
the same thing about Jersey Girl.
Right.
Did he say the same thing about Zack and Miri Make a Porno? See,
Well,
this is my problem with Kevin Smith's personality is he blames everybody but himself. He's full of himself. I can't stand his Q&As. I can't stand
I'll
his
give you that he's
personality.
full of
Kevin
himself.
Smith,
I
if you're
don't.
listening to this.
Honestly, I just can't listen to him anymore. He's just, he thinks like he is a very talented filmmaker. It's just his style isn't my style because I grew up and
Interesting.
he never did.
I
But
do not agree that he's a talented filmmaker, and I don't know that he's.
But I just can't stand his personality. I can't stand his podcasting. His something
interesting.
about his personality, his attitude.
See, I like his personality. Like
He reminds
Kevin
me
Smith,
of you. I don't know.
Maybe that's Snoochie Boochies. I feel like I could hang out with Kevin Smith and like get along. We're both comic book nerds. You know, he's from Jersey. I'm from Staten Island. We've got that going for us.
Yeah,
Suddenly
no,
the accent gets a little bit
Hey.
thicker.
I agree
Kevin
in a way.
Smith.
We have so much in common. I don't know. There's just I always feel like he's just blaming everybody else for his movies.
I don't
and,
get that impression.
like he's right in that the industry sucks and it doesn't know how to make a good movie. But I don't know.
Well, he also had a lot of problems with Bruce Willis. He was very, very public about Bruce Willis not being a good person to work
I'm
with.
sure that's true.
But Cop Out, you can't hate it too much. It was filmed right down the street from my apartment.
It was.
Yeah.
I
I don't want to say the exact addresses, but I'll tell you.
77th,
I'll tell you after the show.
77th, 4th Avenue.
That's where I live.
Bay Ridge, New York.
Come knock on my door. I've been
We'll be
waiting for
with
you. Where the kisses are hers and hers and his.
Don't
filmed
come
Cop
to
Out.
his apartment.
Seriously, don't. Right, but Cop Out was the experience of making Cop Out that kind of pushed him away from making like big budget movies. Yeah, you're giggling at something, Jack.
I like that you're focusing on Cop Out, and none of us has brought up a schooner joke yet from Mallrats.
It's a sailboat. No, I'm looking on our big screen. We have the Wikipedia page up.
Right.
If anybody looks it up after listening to this podcast, I want them to know that we didn't add this, but apparently it just says filmography. There's his filmography, bibliography, his bio, his personal life. Then there's a category that says recognition, and the entire article is just a link to another article that says list of recognition for Kevin Smith, and then one other line that says, and he played a fuck ton of Angry Birds.
There you go.
So did he write that? Did a fan?
If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably like some kind of inside joke from Smodcast or one of his other podcasts. But yeah, I don't know. I've soured on Kevin Smith. It used to be like
too. I
when a
think
Kevin Smith
I
movie.
think a lot of people were really into him. A lot of people
Yeah.
our age were really into him, and then no offense, Heather, kind of grew out of him.
I agree.
Still love him.
I
Still.
think.
He's still in my top 5 celebrity husbands. It'll happen.
All right, who's the other
I mean,
four? Let's
hey.
hear them.
Oh, Christian Bale, and then the other 3 fight.
Nice.
They switch out.
They're not wearing hockey pants.
So who would win in a fight, Kevin Smith or Christian Bale? You got to go Christian Bale, right?
Yeah,
like, it's
Well,
not
it
even a
depends.
contest.
Are we at like 100-pound level?
Well, okay,
Yeah, is it
if we're at
machinist Christian
Christian Bale,
Bale.
Kevin
Yeah.
Smith would
Versus-
just like punch him in the face and he'd be down.
and he would break like glass.
By the way, like, look, I don't. It's always awkward for me to talk about celebrities. I don't know them. I don't know them personally. I'm basing
Right.
them on very limited interactions. So I don't know. That's my impression. That he just bothers the hell out of me. Maybe in
I
real
don't-
life
I
we'd be
don't
best
blame you.
friends, but gotta give props where props are due. I clicked his recognition link. He's got a Sundance Award. He's got a Cannes Film Festival Award.
A Humanitas.
He's got a Humanitas. He's got an Empire Award. He's got a Wizard. Like, yeah, the guy is a super successful filmmaker. So
No,
you know,
he's doing
props
well,
where
he's
props
doing
are
well
due.
for himself, and nowadays, he's doing whatever the fuck he
I
wants to
kind
do.
of like the MTV. Wait, no, scroll
sorry.
back up. MTV. There we are. Won the Orbit Dirtiest Mouth Moment Award along with Jason Mewes.
Oh, I hate that that's an award.
He won a lifetime supply of Orbit gum for them winning that award.
Dirty mouth.
I just
there you
want
go.
to tell
Clean it
the judges of the Orbit Dirtiest Mouth Moment
Yeah.
that here it comes, folks.
Uh-oh.
If you don't microwave your sponge for 60 seconds
You'll get
and then
sick.
you clean a dish with that sponge and then you eat something off of that dish,
That's right.
you will win the Orbit Dirtiest Mouth Award.
And get a lifetime supply of
You
Orbit gum.
fucking cunt fucks.
All right. That got very aggressive at the end,
Now for
Jack.
something completely
I
different.
was trying to
I'm a
think of a
little
word
concerned.
that was worse than cunt.
I like that word.
Is that what we're doing on this podcast? We're going to think of words
I'm assuming
worse
that's
than
what
the
I'm
C-bomb.
assuming that's what the dirtiest mouth was. It was
All
either
right.
that or the non-microwave sponge.
Yeah, I think.
Clerks
Well, you
2?
didn't see Clerks 2, but he eats a non-microwaved sponge.
Oh, I'm not watching that. That's too far.
No, but there's a donkey show in Clerks 2.
Yeah.
There's
There's also pillow pants. There's some funny things in Clerks too.
Clerks 2
It has its moments.
Electric
has
Boogaloo.
its moments.
It has its
Yeah,
moments.
it's just a movie that never needed to be made. And now he's making Clerks 3, or at
Well,
least
when did it
says
say?
he
When
is.
did he set up Clerks 2? Was that in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where the credits end and it says they will return in Clerks 2?
I think he did.
And people
yeah,
waited
yeah.
again. People waited for years, and it's like, oh man, that's never gonna happen. And then it
Yeah.
finally came, and again, in retrospect, it was only like 6 years, which was
Yeah, it
like
was 5
not-
years.
which is not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time. No.
And back then, it felt like, oh my god, they're finally making Clerks 2. And it's like
We've
five-
been waiting for
there's
eons.
Bond movies every 5 years.
Yeah.
I think the inflection was off on that sentence. There's Bond movies on every 5 years.
There's Bond movies every 5 years.
Regis Philbin.
Wait, is Shatner coming
Gelman.
too now?
He could.
Bond movies every.
No, he. I guess Kevin
years.
Smith's not a big Star Trek fan because there's not a lot of Star Trek references, but he loves his Star Wars.
Loves
references.
his Star Wars references. and
That's
he-
what's amazing
Well,
about Jay and
a lot of people
Jay and
are
Silent
one or the
Bob.
other. You got to pick a star.
It's
No,
true.
you don't
It's
have
true.
to pick a star.
If you're
It's a
gonna
false dichotomy.
dress in costume, I think you need to pick a star.
At
Will
this
you
point,
dress in both costumes? Yeah.
At this point, I'm not sure if I could say which one I'm more. Probably Star Wars, but I know so much about Star Trek that it's hard to say.
Would you rather wear a costume in Star Wars or Star Trek? That's the question.
Star Trek
are
because
you
the
a
costumes are more interesting. Like, what am I going to wear? A vest?
Hell yeah. I would wear a Han Solo like leather vest.
no, I would
with
too.
flowing 70s
I would too.
hair.
You don't want that gold bikini on? Don't lie.
Gold
Jack.
bikini's nice,
Don't lie.
You could pull it off, Jack,
but Jean-Luc Picard,
but don't pull it off.
red black shirt. Can't beat that red black
No,
shirt.
you can't. You can't.
So you want to be captain? See, it all makes sense.
I know Star Wars was last week, but I've just been so much into Star Wars in the past few weeks. Like I was reading like Wikipedia pages. I attempted to
Did you
start
watch
watching Clone
episode
Wars.
7 when it came out on Blu-ray?
Yeah, no,
I think that has
I've
something
watched
to
it a
do
few
with it.
times.
I'm going through the same thing right now.
I haven't seen it
By the
since
way,
the
just
movie theater.
a follow-up to our conversation last week about Star Wars. First of all, everyone is saying I'm completely wrong about Phantom Menace. Maybe I'll rewatch Phantom
I was
Menace.
shocked at that. I was
I
shocked.
also was shocked. I thought I had the popular
I thought I was in the
opinion.
minority, yeah.
But anyway, Clone Wars. Do you need to watch that movie first? Or you just jump right into the show?
The movie is just the first 3 episodes.
So I do need to watch it.
You should, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does the animation get better? Because I watched like
Yeah,
5
the
minutes.
first season and a half is not great.
Okay.
It's good.
But stick with it.
There's a few, there's an early episode with Yoda and the clone troopers. That's great.
Okay. And does Kevin Smith have anything to do with it?
No.
All right.
Does
then I'm
Heather Gaw
definitely
have
going to
anything
watch
to do
it.
Smith is actually Yoda.
In real life?
In real life.
Clerks I will make.
Actually, what does he say? Does he say a Yoda line? Because he plays Silent Bob. We should say
Right.
He puts himself in all of his movies, but smartly he plays a silent character so that he doesn't have to learn any
He
lines.
has done
Correct.
2 Yoda lines.
And he's done
What
Mallrats.
Yoda
He
lines?
has do or
Do not, there is no try.
Is that what he says?
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Is that the line? And what was the other Yoda line?
I feel like
Oh, what was
any
his-
line he's ever said is actually a bit Yoda-ish. It's never just
The Chasing Amy monologue he does in Chasing Amy is actually from Attack of the Clones. Yoda says it to Mace Windu.
It's true. Yeah. You're chasing Amy. He tells the whole story about chasing Amy to
Amy,
Mace
you are
Windu.
chasing.
It's amazing. If you've never seen it, look it up on YouTube. It exists. So yeah, I mean, it seems like you and I, Jack, have drifted away from Kevin Smith. Heather, you're still. Would you say you're a Heather Smith fan?
Are you?
I'm marrying you in my mind. Are you still
If
a
we
Kevin
just keep
Smith fan?
saying it, it's going to happen.
Like-
Heather Smith.
I'm still holding on. I don't watch it as often as I used
Right.
to, obviously, but whenever it's on, I find myself laughing like a crazy
So
person.
Tusk. Did you watch Tusk?
I did not. I have not
Okay.
seen his new stuff.
Yeah.
As much.
And he's got a new movie. I think the trailer just came out recently
Yoga
for
pants.
Yoga Hosers.
Yoga hosers.
It's
I
his daughter.
follow him on Facebook, and
Yeah.
he's so in love with his daughter. It's amazing. He
Yes.
praises this movie.
Harley
and-
Quinn Smith
which
is her
kind
name.
of makes me not want to watch it because he's so like, look at what my baby did.
I
All
agree
right,
with
Judd
you there.
Apatow, calm down.
Well, it's the movie Yoga Hosers, which I think is coming out this year. It's
It's about hockey?
Yeah, it's supposedly a trilogy. It's the number 2 in a trilogy. Tusk was the first one about it's like a loosely View Askew universe type thing that takes place all in Canada.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and it's his daughter and Johnny Depp's
How old's his daughter?
I think his daughter
She's like
is
17,
17.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Baby Harley Quinn?
Yeah, she ain't no baby no
We're
more.
old, man.
Google Eminem's daughter, Haley. Oof. She's like 19 now.
Is she like a heroin addict now?
I don't know. Maybe.
So like when she puts on music, she's like, I want to listen to my daddy. And it's just like, fuck your mom. I'm going to fucking kill you.
Pretty much. Just like when you listen to your dad's music.
My dad was ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time.
With his 1958 doo-wop hit. Fuck your mom. I'm going to fucking kill you. Doo-wop, doo-wop.
Do-up.
Gonna fucking kill you. Doo-wop.
It's a good song. I have that on Spotify.
It's very catchy. It's in
Yeah.
a lot of Scorsese movies.
It certainly is. Yeah, I don't know. Yoga Hosers doesn't look great.
Yeah.
That was my point. It seems like a passion project for his daughter, who's like best friends with Johnny Depp's daughter. So
Yeah.
now Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp are friends,
Like
which is
they
weird.
just hang out on play dates.
I guess. What do they talk about?
Star
What's
Wars?
a conversation between Kevin Smith and Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp's a Star Wars fan, and then you're set.
Is he a Star Wars fan? Do you know
know.
that?
Who's not a Star Wars fan? I was surprised there was like multiple people on our Reddit that said they've never seen Star Wars in full. It's like, what?
I was surprised
That's
at that too.
weird.
I bet those people have seen every Star Trek episode.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
think so.
Maybe not. But what was more shocking, not only had they not seen a Star Wars movie, but they said they thoroughly enjoyed our conversation last week, which I find very hard to believe.
That I always find hard to believe.
It was very much about Star Wars for 60 minutes on the clock. We're Googling pictures of, so this is a
you're
photo
on a
from,
list
from
now.
Yoga
You're
Hosers.
Googling pictures of a 17-year-old.
It's weird that you specifically searched underage Harley Quinn Smith photos. I don't know why you did that.
They look so sad.
It doesn't
in that
say
picture.
underage, Dan. It says underwear.
Oh, okay. Much different. Much different.
So what is this? Is this the movie?
I think that's the cover
This
of
is
the movie.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
looking
this
at
is,
a picture of Johnny Depp and Kevin Smith's daughters.
Right.
I can't tell which one's which. I'm guessing maybe the one on the left is Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yes.
I think so.
That is
The
true.
one on the right looks more pretentious.
I kind of like the
you go.
T-shirt in the background, red and white, but never blue.
Is that the red?
I
I
like
kind
reference.
of want that T-shirt.
No, I like the Canadian flag.
It's
a pretty good shirt.
I like on the
Solid-
right.
solid
It says instead of Lucky Charms, it says Pucky Charms.
Where
Perky
is that?
Charms.
Oh, yeah. I
Perk-
think it's Pucky Charms. That's not very clever.
not very
The
good
red, white, and never
podcasting.
blue was much better.
Audio podcasting here.
No, it's not. But anyway,
Hey, shave
Yeah.
his beard.
I don't know. What else do we have to say about Kevin Smith? Like, I feel like we've simultaneously not scratched the surface and also have run out of things to say about Kevin Smith.
That's 90s percentile in a nutshell.
All right. What have we learned today?
So rank them: Clerks or Dogma or Mallrats. Throw in the first 5 you askew, right?
Okay.
The Clerks 2 is not going to make anybody's list, is it?
Clerks 2's not bad.
All right, let's talk top 6.
Okay. My favorite is probably Clerks.
My favorite's probably Mallrats.
I love Mallrats. Again, I haven't seen Clerks in forever.
Yeah.
Dogma. I really got a kick out of.
Dogma was my number 2. I still love Dogma. I think that's a solid movie. Great
Clerks
premise.
animated series, I think, is just a step above everything else. It's just such a weird, surreal type of humor.
It was.
It's not
yeah.
Kevin Smith
ahead of
humor.
its time too. Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe he wrote it, but it's.
No, I think
it was
he
like an
did.
Arrested
No, he-
Development
he-
type.
He did.
He was, he didn't write every episode, but he was part of the staff who wrote it.
It was very Mitch Hurwitz it was like 10 jokes a minute.
It was
like
very
Simpsons
fast.
on crack. Yeah.
And it was also ahead of its time in the sense that Alec Baldwin played the kind of rich,
Yes.
aristocratic type guy. Basically, what he would do
using
later as
Alec
Jack
Baldwin
Donaghy.
as a comedic talent before anybody else.
before
had
anyone
thought-
else.
Well, I mean SNL, but
Right.
the reason I keep bringing up Mitch Hurwitz, I think, is because Mitch Hurwitz, after Arrested Development, made an animated sitcom called Sit Down, Shut Up, which I
Yes.
think is criminally underrated.
I agree with you.
It got canceled immediately after a few episodes, and
Yeah.
it made 13. It's such a brilliant show about teachers in a high school. And it was animated, and it was so good. And like critics don't even agree. It's not even a cult favorite.
That's what always confused me. We've talked about this before. That like critics did not like that show. It seems tailor made for like a critical audience.
Usually, it's not a cult show. You would think like everybody's like, oh, it's a shame that show got canceled. Everybody loves it. Nobody likes it. It's not streaming anywhere. We found it on iTunes. You have to pay like $30.
You
for
can
it.
buy it
never
on
heard of
Amazon.
this.
I have an episode if you
bought
want
it.
to watch it. I
Oh,
bought
now
one.
it's full circle. You never saw Hackers, and I've never seen this cartoon.
Sit down, shut
Yeah.
up. Anyway, that show. The reason that show was so good is because it was a lot of the cast of Arrested Development, like
Yeah.
half the cast.
Yeah.
It also had Will Forte and Sherry
Sherry O'Terry,
O'Terry,
Keenan Thompson. A lot of SNL people were on it.
But it was basically Arrested Development type jokes, but because it was animated, it could go even faster than Arrested Development.
Right.
It was like 15 jokes a minute.
There was a lot of flashback humor, meta humor.
Oh,
it was very, very.
It's intense. Like you have to you
Yeah.
just watch it, and like it's just so many jokes a minute. Anyway, Clerks was
similar, yeah.
10 years before that.
Well,
And
because Clerks did one thing that was really, I feel like other shows have done it since, but they did the clip show that wasn't really a clip show. Like
Right,
Community
right,
definitely did it.
right.
It was their second episode
well,
was a
it was
clip
their
show.
season finale, and they aired it second.
No. It was
Right?
it was no. It was produced as the second episode.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought it was produced as the
No.
13th
The
episode.
finale is the one where they try to make the show more like the movie.
Okay, I thought it was the 13th episode, and then they.
There's only 6
then
episodes.
they or 6 episodes, and then they aired it second.
No. That was definitely the second episode. I don't think it actually did air. They aired the 4th episode first, and then the first episode,
Okay.
and then it was canceled.
Okay.
I know a lot about Kevin Smith. It's kind of sad actually because
look
I'm
it
not
up.
even that big of a fan.
I'm
You look
gonna-
it up
I'm
and
gonna look
find
it
out
up.
that Dan is right.
I'm gonna look it up.
But it was a clip show
Not
episode.
that I don't believe you.
No, I'm right, but that's fine.
I know. I just want to confirm that on
Okay.
air.
Oh, you wanna confirm
took
that I'm right,
You
even
took
though
a
you
big
know I'm
hit on the forums
Okay.
with your lack of Phantom Menace love. So
Okay, well, the Phantom Menace is stupid, and if you like it, you're stupid too. Okay, that's all I wanted to say last week, and I didn't get a chance.
Poor little boy.
I'm just trying to earn Dan Mulhall a win.
Tonight.
Trying to earn Dan a win.
The point that I was trying to make is that they did a flashback episode where they only had one episode before that, so they did flashbacks to that episode.
Or 5 episodes before that.
And then started doing flashbacks to things that never happened, and they were the first ones to do
Alec
that.
Baldwin's name was Leonardo.
Yeah, oh, that was the
Yes,
other
and
thing
he
I
lived in a
loved
town
about
called Leonardo.
The other thing I loved about the View Askew universe, but it's also the animated series, is that I had relatives in Leonardo. Leonardo is, excuse me, I'm dying. I'm so old.
It's from the sponge. You didn't microwave it.
Yeah,
at
you
all.
didn't.
No,
That's right.
I only did it for 58 seconds.
That's not enough. Those last two are the most
No,
important.
Leonardo is actually right across the water from Staten Island.
Right.
But there's no directed bridge, so it's like an hour drive because you have to go up and around.
Go up and around, yeah.
But yeah, it's on the Jersey Shore. I have relatives there, and so I knew that area very well. The Atlantic Highlands. It's where I bought my first cat, or my mom bought our first
look at
cat.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's also where the Quick Stop and the RST Video were. I don't know if they're even still there anymore, but the places that he filmed Clerks, where he used to work.
Exactly. Also, since we have a few minutes left, we should also mention his comic books stuff because he also wrote a script of Superman, and he.
Right.
There's a really funny joke in Entourage where Vinny Chase stars in.
Is that how people pronounce it? Entourage.
Entourage.
There you go. Entourage.
It's French. It's Entourage. So Vinny Chase stars in Aquaman, and it's
Right.
directed by James Cameron, which is a funny joke because James Cameron likes ocean movies.
He sure does.
And it's written by who wrote Seven? What's the name of the script?
God,
Scott Walker or something. Not the
He's a three-name guy, right?
Andrew Scott Walker, something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway,
That sounds right.
So they asked Vinny if he wants to do Aquaman 2, and they're like, who's directing it? I forget. They're like, somebody else is directing it. James Cameron's out, and he's like, well, is Andrew Kevin Walker gonna write it? He's like, no, Kevin Smith. And he's just like, no, I quit. I always thought that was a funny joke. But yeah, no, he's famous for
Kevin Smith.
He's famous for writing comic books and his comic book stuff, and for having a impact in comic books.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
Hollywood.
he's a huge comic book nerd. Yeah, he was like one of the go-to guy for a little while. I don't think any of his scripts got made, but he did write Superman. It wasn't called Superman Returns. What was it? Superman Reborn, the one that Nicolas Cage was going to star in.
I thought he was in one of the Batman movies. Like he's in the writing credits. I thought he was at least
In the writing, he's in.
He's in Die Hard 4.
No,
He is in Die Hard 4. He's in Daredevil. Is that what you're thinking? He
no.
plays like a coroner in Daredevil,
that's
like
right.
the movie
I
with Ben
want to
Affleck.
say it was like a non-screen part. I want to say he was somewhere in the production level. And not it's probably just executive producer where
That I don't know.
I don't know. I definitely know he wrote a script for Superman Returns. I mean, for Superman Lives, which I
Superman-
really
Superman
liked.
Lives, that was it.
Yeah.
Yes, and I cannot recommend enough to watching that documentary about the making
I
of Superman
watched it.
Lives.
I was a little underwhelmed.
Oh, really?
Little
Oh, okay.
underwhelmed.
I thought it was interesting hearing him
certainly
talk about it.
It's certainly worth a watch.
Well, it's good because they actually did talk to Kevin Smith. They talked to Tim Burton. They didn't talk to Nick Cage, but they had archival
I feel
footage
like
of him.
next you need to go to his filmography again, just so I can see if it was before or after Cop Out. If
What?
Die Hard 4
Die Hard 4, I
was
think was
2007?
before.
before Cop Out.
Yeah, I think it was 2007. I think that's how he and Bruce Willis met. And I think Bruce Willis liked him and wanted to work with him, but then when they actually
But then he
started
remembered
working,
he hates being an actor and working in movies. I saw Bruce Willis, I was going to say the other day, but now it was probably like 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely like warm weather. But I saw him like on the corner, like hanging out in the city when I was on my lunch break.
that's
and
awesome. I want to run into
Yeah,
Bruce Willis.
and he just looks so angry.
That's just how he looks, though, right?
He's just like, oh, I just gotta cross the street. No,
What does Bruce Willis have to be angry about? Sure, he lost his hair. That's fine. I understand that.
German terrorists stopping him from crossing the street,
Have a few laughs, they said. Come out to
losing his shoes, walking on glass all the time.
That's true.
It happens.
Look, Annie Lennox got over it, all right?
What?
No one knows
Annie
that
Lennox
song.
what?
Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox.
What am I looking up?
It's a
Oh,
90s song. Heather's on board. I listen to that song too often for a straight man in his early 30s.
Yeah, no, Die Hard was between Clerks 2 and Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else we have to say about Kevin Smith.
He, but
Generally, I like him, but I
he's
don't care for his
still,
work.
I guess because of his podcast and everything, he still is a go-to guy when it comes to comic books. Like they
Well,
asked him,
he's got,
he saw Watchmen early, he saw Batman vs Superman early.
Yes, he's got a little show called Comic Book Men on AMC.
Is that still on?
It is still on. It's like Pawn Stars in a comic book shop.
Ah,
So check that out.
there you go. Sounds interesting.
Free plug.
Heather, anything
I'm
else to
good.
say about
You're
Kevin
just
Smith?
not feeling my love for him. I feel
No,
like
we're feeling your love. We just don't agree. And look, I
Is
get
this
it.
episode 7? I should.
I get what
four,
both of
I
you
should
were
say
saying.
over and over again.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough like how influential he was for me at my earliest stages of screenwriting.
You know what? That's a good point that you're making. I think he was influential to a lot of people and kind of colored people our age, colored their senses of humor. And I think maybe we moved on a little bit, but he's still exactly the same person that he is.
Oh, this is not happening.
Jack is bringing up his screenplay for Dude, We're in My Car.
I don't
It's
know.
handwritten.
Well, I can't seem to find it. I can find my notes. I have my notes here.
Is it written on a chalkboard?
I like that the end of Act 1 is dry cleaners.
Plot.
Let's see.
Can we make this available on our Reddit, maybe?
We could. I don't know if anybody would want to see it.
Oh,
Just
they'll
mail
want
it
to
to
see it.
yourself first. Try to
Yeah,
copyright
that's right.
it.
Here's my character descriptions. Kevin Fenley, younger brother, bossy one. Scott, brains of the group. Ray, doofus.
There you go. That's a great breakdown of the characters. I know exactly who they are. All right. I don't know that we have anything else to say about Kevin Smith, and we've got time for another topic, I think.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So
Don't
that's it
be
for
a video
Kevin
game.
Smith movies.
Don't be a video game.
Now, unfortunately, Heather, that was your suggestion, and now we're going into the random topic.
Oh,
So,
I like
gonna
the
be a-
random talks. Don't be a video game.
it's gonna
Don't
be a video game.
Don't be a video
all
game.
right, here we go. This topic was suggested by Brian, also named Bort Green, and the topic is getting a boner in class and being called up to the chalkboard to do a math problem.
I am
Didn't
proud
he
to say
suggest
that's
that like
never
a day
happened to
ago?
me.
Didn't that guy suggest it a
I
day
have
ago?
no idea, but that is our topic. So, Heather, what was your experience when you pop a boner in class and you got to answer a math question?
I can say, not being able to have. Oh, wait, I have heard your podcast where you have the lady boner.
There are
but
lady
no,
boners,
It,
that's
is-
true.
it,
There
it,
is such
it
a
has
thing.
never happened for me. No.
Here's-
It will
Here's
one
a-
day.
here's a
The boner-
question I
The
have.
lady boner fairy will come to you.
Here's a
While
question
I'm
I
doing
have.
math in class.
Heather,
I think I've timed out.
while you're here, our resident woman on the podcast right now, here's a question I have for you.
Here's the answer.
When you were in middle school or whatever, did you ever notice when a gentleman had a boner and was called up to the board to do a math problem?
I will say I have,
Okay.
but not called up to the board. I remember a particular time in high school where on Halloween, one of my friends dressed in very, very tight 70s style pants
Oh boy.
and had to put his book bag over his lap in class
Oh
because
jeez.
there's no mystery.
It's tough as a boy.
I don't
A
remember.
growing boy.
I don't remember ever getting. I remember getting boners and having to hide it like at my desk. But I guess going up to the front of the class to do math problems rarely ever was a thing. You don't usually get
Right.
up to write anything on the chalkboard.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like, it was definitely like I feel like we were in an all boys. We went to an all boys high school. I feel like we're all getting boners all the time.
Oh yeah, we just love seeing all those boys.
was just all the
remember
boys.
I didn't know what a boner was, and like 5th grade was my first sex ed class,
Mm-hmm.
and they taught us. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what an erection is. And then, but the teacher said erection once, but everybody else kept saying boner.
Yeah.
So by the end of the day, I was like, I know what a boner is. And I remember I was brushing my teeth.
And you were just like boner, boner,
Well,
boner.
I was brushing my teeth in my downstairs bathroom.
Yeah.
Had my sweatpants on.
Is this your first adult experience, Jack?
No, it is not. But I had my sweatpants on, which was my jammies.
Okay.
And my mom was there, and I got a boner.
Oh,
and I
no.
said, well, I had a boner, and then I went to my mom and go, look, Mom, I've got a boner. Because like,
Oh,
it
no,
was like
I'm
me
cringing.
It was like me saying like, hey, I got an
I
A on my
did
spelling
something, I'm
test.
showing you.
I didn't realize, and she's just like, that's not appropriate. Don't do that anymore, please. And I was just like,
And ever since, that's how you greet your mother.
well, one more bonus story was
All
wearing
right.
those same sweatpants. I had
sweatpants are
I had a
magical.
teenage babysitter, this girl that worked with my mom.
Okay.
Like an intern.
I like where this is
And
going.
she was very attractive, although I wasn't attracted to her because I was I hit puberty late, I guess. I was not attracted to girls at this point.
Okay.
But I've always liked just having my back scratched. Like I just like the sensual touch. So she was
Are you a cat?
So she was like scratching my back. She's scratching my sister's back. Like we're sitting on the
What
couch.
kind of babysitter is this?
Well, it's like not like just like
Okay,
it's not
like
heavy petting. It's
like
not,
idle.
It's
she's
not
just
sensual.
Like,
Yeah,
right,
it's
right,
not
right.
sensual
Okay.
in the slightest.
Okay.
And then she kept doing my sister, and she stopped doing me, and she wouldn't do it. I was like, hey, scratch my back, and she's like, no, and she's all weirded out, and I wasn't sure why.
Oh,
And it took
okay.
me 5-10 years, and in retrospect, I was like, oh, I totally had a boner, and like she saw it.
And right.
Yeah,
She's
but I
like,
didn't
"Ugh."
get it at the time because I really didn't see Like, I didn't get that boners were like a thing to be embarrassed
I like
about.
that you carried this moment with you for 5 to 10 years, and
He's
then
been
finally got
embarrassed
the
this
closure
long.
you needed.
I was always like, what like,
What
scratch
would
my
happen?
back. Just scratch my
Why'd
back.
Lindsay not
you
scratch
scratch
my
my
back?
back, I scratch yours.
Yeah.
But apparently it's you scratch my back, I scratch yours unless I have a boner.
I get a boner. You stop scratching my back, and I deal with it for 5 to 10 years.
That's
Just
that's
like
the
marriage.
that's the full unabridged motto.
That is true. That is it.
You have any boner stories?
I don't really have any boner stories. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a problem that you just got to deal with. I was a fan of the tuck method.
Oh, boys.
Tuck it into the sweatband and, on your
Up,
underwear.
tuck it up.
Tuck
yeah.
it up.
Yeah.
And that's all I really have to say about the subject.
Yeah, no, I really can't relate to the going up in front. That seems more cinematic to me. That's like not an everyday problem, like getting stuck in the middle of front of class.
Well, I'm sure it happened,
but like you said, it's if you're wearing jeans, it's not super visible.
here's another thing.
Maybe it's because of my abnormally tiny penis. I don't know.
Well, here's the other thing. As a dude, when you sit down wearing your dude pants, you usually get a fake boner tent anyway, right? Like,
Yeah, that was the very first episode of Curb Your
It's
Enthusiasm.
happening right now.
pe-
Don't all look at once, but
The zipper fold. The zipper fold.
the zipper fold,
Yeah.
it puffs up and it looks
the
like a
pants
little
tent.
protrusion.
Yeah, the
A
pants tent. It was the
tent. There
very
you
first
go.
episode
It was
of
the
Curb Your
first.
Enthusiasm. Yeah.
That's the thing that happens. So I feel like women know, like, oh, dudes get boners sometimes.
I won't wear
and
sweatpants
or
anymore.
I don't ever really have an
I
occasion
think
to wear
just
sweatpants.
those sweatpants were
No.
magical. I don't think it's every pair.
No, because not only do sweatpants
Sweatpants
show
do
them,
nothing to hide
you
your
can't
thunder.
hide them, but they also, at least for me, cause them because it's the
little
fabric.
bit of
the
a nice
fabric-
friction.
The fabric's very comfortable
I hear
and
ya.
it's rubbing up against. Look, I like
I'm
being
learning
touched.
so much.
I like being scratched. I like the feel of sweatpants.
Listeners, if you ever meet Jack, just scratch his back.
And I'll just get a big
With
boner.
sweatpants on your hands.
Boner right in your stomach.
Oh boy! Oh dear!
We have 4 minutes and 34 seconds left. I found my Dude We're in My Car script.
Oh,
I
man.
also completely forgot about this. I used to provide movie taglines for my
You
scripts.
certainly did.
And I came up with 4 for Dude We're in My Car. Again, this is a short film about me, Dan, and I believe your cousin Mark.
Right, I think so, yeah.
Being trapped in a car in a parking lot. The idea being, because my first screenplay was like a $200 million budget. There was like fighter jets. There was an animated Aunt Jemima. Batman was in it.
This was something that could
This was
feasibly have
something
been
me,
This
made.
is
me
your
and you
art
could
house
shoot.
Right.
This was my Clerks. Here's my taglines for Dude We're in My Car. Heather, you could read them.
The first one, claustrophobia never looks so funny.
It's true.
If the heat doesn't kill them, boredom will. If boredom doesn't kill them, they'll kill each other. But at least they'll have a dual side airbag.
Okay,
Is that a punchline?
that's a wordy tagline. I gotta say.
First it was Napoleon Bonaparte, then it was Adolf Hitler. Now it's child safety locks.
That one's a little.
I kind of like
Okay.
that
I also
one. It's
spelled
weird.
Adolf with a PH.
And
Oh, yeah, that's
I
wrong.
don't like. Yeah, the last one.
Are you gonna fix it now?
Get ready for the most boring ride of your life. No.
That one's not
That's
bad.
probably
Negative.
the best one. I kind of
No,
like it.
negative.
I don't think you'd
Negatory,
ever.
good fella.
I don't think you'd ever be able to get a movie made with a tagline. Get ready for the most boring anything.
All right, so real quick, who do I play and who do you play? Who did I write?
Who's the doofus?
Well, you're gonna play the doofus, Heather.
I'm the doofus.
I think I play Kevin and you play Scott. Let's just go with that.
I'm Scott. Okay.
So I'm Ray.
So interior kitchen morning opening on Kevin Fenley and his 2 friends Scott and Ray sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast. What are you talking about, Ray?
It's not hard to comprehend. It's an inappropriate title.
No, it's not. Scott, bail me out here.
What are we talking about again?
You changed the page. There goes my entire.
Here it is.
The title, Weekend at Bernie's too. They're not at Bernie's, as the title would suggest. They're at some island resort. I love how grammatically correct you are. How old were you?
16. Sorry, I'm trying to get it here. But it's part 2. So when they did spend a weekend at Bernie's, so it's a legitimate title. Did I read that right? At this moment.
Yeah, but the movie wasn't about said weekend at said house.
Well, technically, the storyline does come from the fact that there was an adventure accompanied by hilarity at Bernie's in the span of one weekend. So the title does have relevance.
Some sequel, Voodoo Gods, reviving the dead, finding out the guy who isn't Jonathan Silverman is a virgin.
Andrew McCarthy, man.
Whoa, first of all, the movie was great. Don't knock the voodoo gods. Second of all, it doesn't matter what it was about. So what if Bernie should have been decomposed and rotted and the guy from the Single Guy should have been in jail for stealing a cadaver? It's still a sequel.
Does it even matter? Titles don't necessarily have to do with the movie.
Oh, you're like the straight-laced nerd. I get it.
You
That's
wrote
not
this.
a line. You're just saying that about me.
Anyway,
I don't
whereas
like it.
titles don't necessarily have to do with the movie. Yeah, like the Grapes of Wrath.
Well, no, not like that. The Grapes of Wrath refers to the grapes of California that migrant workers had to.
Like Back to the Future too. Oh, that's your line. Anyway, you get my point because we're running out of time.
Right.
That's Kevin Smith.
Yeah. You're definitely aping
I'm
a
like
Kevin Smith
channeling.
style.
Yeah, aping, channeling.
And I don't know why you don't know who Andrew McCarthy is, Jack. The other guy in Weekend at Bernie's too.
I didn't at the time.
All right.
but now I do.
I always thought Silverman was the other guy in Weekend at Bernie's.
He's the single guy.
Well, you and I both had an affinity for the single guy as young lads.
Because what's his face was a guy.
Ernest Borgnine?
No,
Joey Slotnick?
Joey Slotnick, a big Joey Slotnick fan.
I hope Weekend at Bernie's 2 comes up as a topic because I would love to talk more about it, and we can get into the intricacies of the title.
Hopefully, we get that topic and not the topic of death.
Yeah, right. All right, so we have 50-something seconds left. So
yeah, 54.
really quickly, what's a fun thing we can do?
We can read interior car day.
How long can it take to pick up one pair of pants?
Obviously, this long, genius. By the way, their mom is picking up pants from the dry cleaners. That's why they're stuck in the car. Obviously, this long, genius.
Hey, leave him alone.
No, you leave him alone.
He didn't say anything to me. That didn't make much sense.
Yeah, well, I know. I get testy when I'm hot.
I get testy when I'm trapped in a car.
Yeah, well, complaining won't get us out, so shut up.
You shut up. Pause.
No, you.
Guys, calm down.
No, you.
I feel like I'm underwritten in this script. Don't you dare tell me to calm back down. That was my next
Just
line.
everyone shut up.
Oh, I've lost it now. Where are we?
We've lost it. We lost it a while ago.
We both said testy.
Shut up.
That's pretty
And scene.
And there it is. That is it for this episode of 90s Percentile. I hope you've all enjoyed it. And as we are wont to do at the end of our episodes, Heather, I'm going to turn to you first. What have we learned today?
I learned not to go anywhere near Jack with sweatpants or scratch his back.
That's a great lesson that you and all of us have learned.
Yeah, that was probably the most important lesson 90s Percentile has produced yet.
Yeah. Jack, what have you learned?
Oh, boy. I don't know. What have
I can't tell you what you've learned. If you've learned nothing, this episode was a waste.
I learned that I used to spell Adolf Hitler wrong. I spelled
That's
it with a
true.
PH.
It's very important that you spell Hitler's name right.
I spelled it like Rudolph.
I learned that you still
Important I
have.
spell his name right.
It is. If you spell it wrong, he comes back from the grave.
It's not how it works.
It'll be on your hands.
I don't want to cause World War III.
I've learned that you still have the script for Dude where we're in my car, and that we could feasibly make it now, although maybe we shouldn't because I don't know if the single guy
That would
related
be
humor.
really funny if we played like 15-year-olds
That would be good.
and just got in the back of a minivan and shot this movie.
I'm game if you are. Maybe we'll do it
Maybe
summer.
this summer. In
about it.
actual 200-degree minivan. We'll do it
listeners.
method like Christian Bale.
All right, we're in. So that is it for this episode of 90s Percentile. Guys, if you want more content from We Studios, you can check out our other podcast, which is Worst Episode Ever. That's a Simpsons podcast. Go to wepodcast.com for that. That's weepodcast.com. And while you're there, you can also check out our Sync Points, which is our movie commentary series. We've done Batman and the Superman movie. Maybe check those out. We talked about them a lot today. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Maybe Kevin Smith wants to check
Maybe
it
if
out.
Kevin Smith wants to
After
check
I told the world that I'm not a fan
If
of
Kevin
this.
Smith writes
Kevin
in.
Smith can look for me.
If Kevin Smith writes in and says he wants to listen to the commentaries but will not pay for them, I will send them
We'll
to
give
him
him
for free.
$1 off.
Oh, all right.
Free. Okay.
A dollar
Yeah.
I'll pay
off.
for
A
that.
dollar off.
And also, he should leave his wife and marry Heather.
Yes.
There you go. We got that in there. And if you like this show and you want to support what we're doing on We Studios, all you got to do is go to amazon.wepodcast.com and shop like you normally would. We will get a small cut of whatever you buy, and that will help keep the show free. But if you really want to support the show and you don't want to spend a dime, you're a cheapskate, you're a tightwad, you're saving up to make your own Clerks.
You have bills to pay.
You have no job and you're just listening to podcasts all day. What you can do is
That's 99% of you.
instead of giving us your money, what you can do is you go on iTunes and you give us a rating. And preferably it's 5 stars, but it doesn't have to be. We'll also take 4.5. 4.9 is 4.
We
Can
have
you
a
do
perfect
4.9?
score right now.
We do have a
Let's leave it
perfect
at
score.
5. The first person who doesn't give us a 5, I'm going to be very upset. And I know I'm jinxing it.
You'll get banned from this podcast for life because all of our listeners will eventually be on the show. That's how this show works. Okay.
That's
so
how Heather got on.
That's how Heather got on.
When you texted me and said you never watched Hackers. You ruined my topic, you fools.
Excellent. But Heather, if you would be so kind, we want you to read one of our many 5-star reviews on iTunes And if you would like to be read on the show, all you got to do is rate the show, give us 5 stars on iTunes. So,
Yeah. So Heather, read an iTunes review for us.
Okay, here's Best Podcast About the Future Available by Nike Mikey 73.
I think it's Nike Mikey. Wait, or maybe it's Nike Mike.
Nike Mike? I don't know.
Whatever, it's how I read. 5 stars, obviously.
Yeah.
This is a great podcast for speculation on future technologies. Lots of talk about self-driving cars and the singularity. Very informative and funny. Occasionally, the hosts will mention stuff from their childhoods.
Thank you, Nike Mikey or Nike Mike.
A self-driving car will be sent to it'll send itself to your garage eventually.
Eventually.
Not by us.
Kevin Smith did a
We're
short
assuming.
film about a flying car.
I remember that was on Jay Leno.
It was on Jay Leno.
We're doing a flying
we got
car.
Kevin
Got some
Smith.
rockets.
Kevin Smith's going to do a little thing for us.
Ain't that right, Kevin?
Hey.
Hey, it's right there.
All right, guys. If you want to...
We still doing this?
We're still doing this. We're getting out of here. This is why we had the 60-minute timer, so we don't have things like this. But if you want to follow the show, we're at 90s Percentile. Our website is 90spercentile.wordpress.com. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at ThenDanSays.
I'm at Jackie No Breaks. Heather, do you have Twitter?
Oh, I am on Twitter. I am the Hetty G.
The Hetty G. Do you have anything else you want to plug? Now's your chance.
I really like this podcast. I think everyone should
Plug
go
this
to it.
podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
More of our guests should plug this
Yeah,
podcast.
really.
Not
I
the
agree.
Simpsons one, though. No, I'm kidding.
You're right to boo.
All right, guys. That is it for this episode. My name is Dan.
My name is Jack, and we'll see you in another decade.